I'm back. Part 3 is here. We're going to do some more things with Test World. We're going to see how it goes, what's going on with it, and where we left off. So, without further ado, let's do it. Next, we're going to edit the Test World right here. So, I'm going to bring up my other screen. Boom, it's right under it. This is KevEdit. So, I've already gone into details what KevEdit is, so there's no point in going back and forth through it. The next thing we're going to do is just add some of the features and things that I was thinking about adding in the third video originally, and then of course life gets in the way. I was completely sidetracked. A lot of issues, you know, personal issues and everything at work and whatnot too, so I had to kind of forego making videos and, you know, real life issues. So the last thing we were gonna do was actually make the mayor and everything too. So I'm gonna make a basic generic table. That's the mayor's desk right there. We could always do the same thing we did with the secretary and put a little sensor there or whatever. I kind of recommend that. Kind of makes it easier. So that way we only use, instead of having to go to a color kit and everything and access those colors, we obviously could do it in KevEdit, but just showing you some basic history, what we did have to do without KevEdit. Alright, so let's just put the mayor right here. Let's make him ooh, that's part of his desk. Okay, so excuse me. Let's make the mayor gray. Nah, the background's gray. Let's make him cyan colored. Alright, so this is the mayor right here. Okay, so that way, if we don't have the end command, remember, touch, it'll just go right into touch and, you know, it'll just run the whole thing. So you need the end command to start off with there too. I was actually looking through some code, trying to figure out how one of these engines worked for one of my personal games. You actually don't need to put a title or a name for the item, but that's only if you are not calling the item. If you're calling the item with another command from another object, you're going to need to name it something. Otherwise, how is it going to know what's called? So, just a little tidbit of information right there too. So the mayor's going to say, "Hi, I heard about your complaint about the dog issue. Unfortunately, ooh, can't spell. Unfortunately, my office is way too busy to deal with such minor, inconsequential," damn, that's a big word, issues. Probably spelled it wrong, but that's fine. Okay, so we can then say, "Oh, I see. Well, I guess I will leave then without incident." Okay. We could actually spawn an enemy, so that way the mayor knows, hey, you know, I don't like you, you know. So actually, I'm going to raise hell. And then the mayor will say, "What? Guards!" So we'll spawn some guards now. Now I just have to remember how to do this using my brain. Holy crap. Put north. Ooh, it might be on a table. So you're north of the table, he's south. Mother. Alright, I got a better idea. So we're going to use the send command, and we're going to call it spawner guards. That's just basic and simple. Okay. And that was the mayor. Bind mayor for the thing. And we could give him a chair too. We could give him another damn plant, but I know I'm obsessed with plants in these, but you know, gotta be obsessed with something. Let's see, so let's put some yellow table or object or thing. We could call it a file cabinet too. Like, what the cool thing about ZZT, you could always just call stuff other things. Watch, ready? Spawner, right? And then when the player hits it, it's gonna put it. If we do one line, it's gonna bring up one line. So we can just write, "It's a cabinet." And then we could do, what command did I put there? Guards. message, I should say. So then guards, put east, ruffian, put, oh, we should wait a tick too. Put south, ruffian, wait a tick, put north. Actually, we don't have to wait if we're doing different directions. And then we could actually do something advanced too. We can say shot, spawner, 75%. You know, and then you could do zap shot, the lock command, unlock. Ooh. And I'm sure I could copy and paste to make this a little simpler. Actually, yeah, let's copy and paste. Hang on. Okay. So we can just take this. Thank you. Copy and paste. Just saying. Take that baby. Put that there. Boom. Spawner. And we could say 50% health. Whatever, too. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Boom. Look at that. Look at that. It writes itself. And then you could say spawner. Defeated. Okay. Come. Yellow fake, doesn't matter. And give score 100. So there you go. So that's it right there. I'm just gonna add another series. Ruffians are fun enemies. They're not too hard. They're not too difficult. Okay. So that theoretically should work. I don't think we'd have any problems with that. Let's see. Let's give the player ammo too when they're first walking in. If I could do like multicolored ammo. I haven't done this in forever. No, you can't do multicolored ammo in this part of it. That's fine. So let's just give the player like 20 shots. Each ammo clip is 5, I believe, in this game. Okay. Now let me think. So the trigger, there's the mayor and his stupidity. He sends the spawner guards. So he's going to send the spawner guards every time we touch him. So then touch. I don't really want to set a flag, so. Yeah, I think that's a valid statement. Yeah, I believe that is it. And you don't have to put then. You can actually, I've seen people code and they just, put everything in there. You can actually skip a lot of this stuff, but I'm doing it because it shows you how to do it, and it's also reminding me how to do it too. So if not any ruffian, then conquest. And then if it doesn't do that, don't touch me. Okay, okay. I give up. I'll look into your case and have your neighbor brought in for questioning. Just don't shoot any more of my guards. You're damn right. Alright, so let's see. Alright, so we just saved my game. You can't see it because my picture is coming up, but I just saved the game with the S command. And that should be, I think, enough right there. You know what? I think I just had one ruffian in here. I'm going to take out the ruffian. Okay, so every time we touch the mayor, the first time we touch it, it's going to set that whole thing up. But the second time we touch it, it's going to then go to the, excuse me, not the conquest message, the touch message right here. So this part is what's going to really be in action next. So if I did that right, it'll, of course, then lay us into the next part of that. So first, let's see if we can add some more stuff to this too before we test everything out fully. There are other advanced things that I did want to show you in this video too that would be pretty cool. I just have to refamiliarize myself with them too. I don't really use the centipedes. I neglected to show that in the first video too. The centipedes are just these long things that you can make, these long creatures. Oh, and I can make different colors, cool. So you make the head first, and then you make the segments. You could just make in segments. It's really blue, so I don't even know if you could make that out on the screen. Okay, so that's that. So now we made a centipede that's a little bit different. Let's see, we already made that. Conveyor belts are... I never use conveyor belts, but they can hold the player. I actually made a conveyor belt in one of my games that was so much better, so much cooler, and it actually looks pretty neat. It's like almost like a zip line thing, you know, and it's just straighter. It's more direct. So I really think that my version of it was a little bit better too. So let's do passages, because I never even talked about passages. So basically you want to get from one board to another. So let's do something really quick. I'm going to cut a hole in this building. So we actually we never made a front door. So right here is the front door. We're going to make a simple path. Okay. And then we're going to make a path to the right, like that. So now, most likely we came from the right, but let's just work backwards and it's fine. So in order to access the right area, we're going to obviously have to make a board. So you can hit B. You can see your boards here. We're going to go to add new board. We can also import a board too if you had one ready, or from another project and everything too with the T command. You just hit T for that. So we're just going to call this parking lot. Boom. And then you see where I had the pathway? It's still going to be at the bottom like that. And I believe it was like that. And parking lot, it's pretty easy. We've used a lot of gray, so we could just do a field of brown. You could mix it up. Actually, let's make a gradient. That'll actually even look better. This is how I normally do it. I usually use my buffer. Now I'm going to show you how to do that. So basically, we're going to go take some brown. Now we really are Bob Ross, though, just so you know. Now we've officially gone full Bob Ross. Alright, and then we're going to take some gray. So you see my buffers filling up at the bottom. Let's take a little bit of, just a hint of green. Alright, so we took that hit right there, too. You see it's in the buffer. And then we're going to take a little bit of white. Now, this is not going to look perfect. Okay, so there we go. That's my buffer right there. This is not going to look perfect, so I don't want to hear it. So we're going to plot right there, and then we're going to plot for our second point, which I'm pretty sure I'm plotting right with points, because they want you to draw a rectangle, but I can only usually set 2 points, so I'm really not sure what's the dealio with that. So, alright, so this is our like totally awesome parking lot. Alright, so dirt road, gravel, grass-ish, and then white whatever. Okay, so that's our road. Boom. And guess what? It's fully walkable. Done. We're done. The game's over. Save and quit. So now what we're gonna do too, that we made this basic, super basic area, you can hit I, and then you're gonna just select for the left pattern. You see the leftmost screen. What's left? You're gonna enter. You're gonna hit test board. Boom. And then we're gonna go back, and you could link it. I think there's a joining command now too. Reciprocate board links. I've never even used that, but I'm assuming if you hit the asterisk symbol, it'll automatically link it up. But I'm old-fashioned, so I've never even heard of that until I read it like a couple of months ago too. It's weird. I never even knew about it. Parking lot. Boom. There's an asterisk there too, so they're completely linked. So they're fully linked up and everything too. So if we were to then leave this area and everything and go this way, you're gonna then get to the parking lot area too and everything. And you could set any direction you want. You could set north, south, east, west. So now what we're gonna do is, instead of say there's some kind of weird teleporter. All right, there's a weird scientist guy in the back here, right? And the scientist guy says, Hi there. Step through my teleporter. Sure. Okay, so we're just gonna make it so basic. Alright, so watch this. Boom there, boom, and to that. And then we're gonna lock this room down. There's no reason to do this. I'm just doing this for kicks right now. Okay, so after he says that, become fake. So hopefully he'll blend in with the gray. And then we're just gonna put a passage by hitting F1. And then you're gonna go to passage, P for passage, boom. And you can make it any color on the bottom that you see right there too. So just use the colors at your leisure. I love green, so we're gonna put green there. And we're going to then pick the parking lot. Now, that will warp you into the parking lot. You can put a two-way trip on it. If you did it first and you first jumped into this, the dude would be blocking you. So it would just say, it would just be blinking and it wouldn't let you even enter the board. That's one of the, I wouldn't say flaws of ZZT, but if there's no area for the player to walk in, you just can only quit. It's really strange that they never kind of put anything in for that. You might be able to get away with the zap command. Possibly. I don't know if you can get away with zap for that either, but getting on tangents here. So that will take you directly in the parking lot, and where you show up is basically the upper left corner. So we can move the player, boom, now the player will just end up there. So we're gonna head back to test board. We're gonna hit save right now. I just saved the game. So now passage, mayor, extra screen. Alright, so you guys should have a basic understanding of passages work. They're actually things called boulders. So, and they're basically pushable blocks. That's the way you think about it. So I'm actually going to show you those right now too. My god, I don't even know what screen they're on. F3. Okay. So then we're going to hit O for boulder. And then we're going to hit F3 over boulder. So those right there are boulders. You can fully push them throughout, which I'll show you in the next thing. There's also sliders, which have no relations to that awesome TV show. And it's a slider east-west, and then I'll put a north-south one right here too, just to give you guys a little bit more test. Transporters, never use them either. It's weird. So transporters, we're gonna do something fancy. So the scientist also has a transporter outside, and it's gonna cause us to then just become instantly outside. So this is actually pretty cool. I actually admire this feature. So transporter, it's going to be headed east. So you're going to enter the transporter from there, and it's going to transport you outside. So this would be good. I've used transporter before, not too often, but this is good if you want the player to get to the other side of a building faster or whatever. You can just put one in. Just be like, hey, you want to just cut to the chase, go through here, you know, and cut through that part. So there's definitely a lot of variety in transport for ZZT, which is pretty cool. All right, so this direction is going to be west. So now we can also, it's also a two-way road. We can also go back that way too. I believe you need at least one on one side and one on the other side. I don't think they work really. I think actually, I believe, and I could be wrong about this, but I believe if I didn't have this one would just go to that, like right there, to that room. So, and you'd kind of be stranded there too because you don't have a purple key, remember? So that is the actual transporter things there too. Ricochet, if you shoot it, just bounces bullets. Nothing too fancy with that. Specials like boards, edge, monitor, horizontal and vertical blinking. It's okay. I'm not really gonna get into those either. And then the rest of the stuff I covered, you know, except forest, which forest is basically just green that you can just kind of go through. We can actually put some forest right here, just to show you guys. Let me see, F for forest. So, and then when the player goes through it, it's just gonna clear out, you know. So you can then see what path you're taking. So if you have fields and whatever, and you can show a path, but you know, it's nothing really to write home about. Goodness gracious. Okay, so that's that feature. Let's see where else we can go with this too. Pretty sure I've pretty much reached my limit of what I want to show with this video. So again, just to recap, we covered the put command. You can put bombs, put this, put that, put a key. That's one thing I didn't use either. I just used give, I think, on the last video or the first video. We also covered the send command again. That's always useful. Transporters, which transport you. Passages, which move you. Other screens. Gradient effect. And then boulders, and then the slider puzzles too. And I'm sure there's something I missed that I just, totally forgot, which is fine. So we're gonna save this again, just make sure we're saved, and then we're gonna load it up back up in our, turn off sound because sound is just blurring. We're gonna grab some ammo, and we're gonna ignore the slimes and everything too. I might just stop that slime so it doesn't. There we go. So you could basically just push against the slime, and it won't, like, I just got shot. Stupid shooter thing. Okay. So here's the boulders that you can move. You can't pull it. It would be kind of neat if they had, if they ever made a newer version, if you could actually pull boulders the other way. I think that would be pretty neat, but then would kind of defeat a lot of puzzles, of course, too. The sliders, you notice you can't push them. Oh, it's actually destroying the floor. No wonder why I hated these things. So it actually destroys the floor, which is, kind of pointless for us. Okay, let's see if I put the mayor commands in correctly. You cannot open this. Oh, we gotta talk to the secretary. That's classic. There we go. And I should have done a door closing sequence too. And I know I never closed the door on it, but remember, use a lock command. Idle, let the player walk through, give them time, then set it up that the door closes. Unlock, player can just use it all the time. You can also do NPCs that can walk through it too. It actually looks kind of cool. You just have to make sure you set up the door to open first to give the NPC time to get through too. So make sure you open the door first. I heard you about your complaint about dog issue. Unfortunately, my office is way too much to deal with such minor issues, so way too busy, whatever. I guess I was talking too much during this whole thing. Oh, I see. Well, I guess I'll have to leave them without incident. Okay. Actually, I'm gonna raise hell. What? Guards? Then guards are gonna come out. He says, don't touch me. We're gonna shoot him using shift and an arrow key. These guys go down easily. I just want to use this as a simple example. Now remember, when we touch this, it's a cabinet. Look at that. They just spawned from a cabinet. Boom. So even though the thing was called spawner, we could also call it cabinet if we really had to too, no big deal. But you can hide things a lot easier that way too, by just giving a basic example of what it is, because then the player will just say, oh, it's a cabinet. That's right, it told me it was a cabinet. So just for naming purposes, it's good to do things like that too. In fact, before I let this video go, I'm going to show you an extra command too that you can use too. There you go. Mayor gives up because it says if not any ruffians, then conquest. Okay, I give up. I'll look into your case and have your neighbor brought in for questioning. Just don't shoot any more of my guards. You're damn right. Say my name. I'm just kidding. I love that bit. Alright, so now we're going to teleport. Hi there, step through my teleporter. Sure. Oh, look at that. We're at the other screen. And if you're ever doing open screens like this, and we could fix that brown spot too, it's no big deal. If you're ever doing open screens like this, try to give the player a location of where they're going, because this is just a sploochy mess, so you might want to just have a different color right here, a sign, just guide the player, because otherwise they're just going to turn off and say this sucks. Okay, and look at that, the transporter transfers right through, so we can actually leave through this way. You could do that for other purposes too. I just can't think of any at the moment, but for storyline purposes, you could use it for tons of things too, and just cut it through so the player can get out. If a player just finishes a puzzle area, put a transporter there, get him the hell out of there, or put a passageway. Don't make him walk through the whole thing again or something stupid like that. So that's everything right there. So I'm just gonna leave this running. I'm gonna go back to my other item from Kev Edit. So this right here, guys. Is going to be a good example of what I really should have done too. Okay, so this was called spawner. It's a cabinet, like I was telling you before. If for some reason, you had a different command that actually set something, like set a variable up or whatever, which we're gonna get into variables. Thanks for that. Flags. You could then put a note, like because I've set things up too, and I don't want to get too much into the flag commands, but basically, why did I make this again? And then you, Jesus, here I go again. So you basically put a apostrophe, and then you'll notice all the text is blue right there too. I don't know if you could differentiate with all the blue background, but it's blue. So then this basically is your comments. So you could insert comments in these too. Like, why did I make this thing again? To get the mayor to talk, whatever. So that right there is good for future authors too, to do things like that, because then the person's like, oh, okay, that's what that stupid thing is there for, you know? It does that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I enjoyed making it. I had a great time making it. You know, I haven't done this in forever, so it was good to get back to you guys and do some things, because I know I had a couple of people make some requests. Even though the demand wasn't huge, I still appreciate any kind compliments and words, because I think ZZT is fun for all ages. I mean, I taught my nephew it, and my nephew still talks about it to this day. He's like, Dan, remember we used to play ZZT, man? That was awesome, man. Yeah, it was crazy. We used to do stupid stuff with it, you know? It's like, that's what it's for. It's for messing with, having fun, you know, and all like that. So if you like this video, guys, please like and subscribe. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You can leave comments below. I'm cool with that. I'm a pretty easy, open guy. Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.